Hello everyone, my name is Nathan and today it's time for another episode of Oxygen Not Included in the Ultimate Base 3.0. I'm actually really looking forward to today's episode because it kind of feels like all the previous episodes now are coming together and we will finally get to achieve some of our goals. One of which being to activate the nuclear reactor here on Coldito, and once we do that we'll have way more possibilities. We also have the possibility to actually charge up the temporal tear opener. We'll have to rearrange some of the infrastructure here, but you can see we now finally have a vacuum in here and I'm cleaning things up a little bit. I just have to build a few more pipes. I also had to correct something. I previously let the pipes through the green outputs, which doesn't work. So I brought them down like I usually do and over to the liquid vent. Another something we're missing is the bridge that actually leads over to the nuclear reactor. And speaking of nuclear reactor, well, it's called research reactor, but there we go. Let's place that right there. Can I turn that around? Not really. Let's maybe check on Glowani where that input is. It is on the very left side here. Now, actually, that is going to be a pain in the butt to build it like this. I think we just need to swap the sweeper here. I want it on the very edge, and then we can have our conveyor chute here, and we can even have our timer sensor as well. This way we can also keep the ladder in place should we ever need to return here. Now I already have 600 kilograms of enriched uranium, so I need to be kind of careful that we don't accidentally activate the reactor. But like this we should be able to place it, yeah. Also, to get my initial water in there, all we're gonna do is set up some temp shift plates out of ice. And they're always gonna be 800 kilograms, so it's gonna come down to 800 kilograms per tile here at the bottom. We're also going to need some heavy watt joint plates here and also release some supercoolant as soon as the drywall is built. And this is where we're going to set up the Rapbolt generators with the launcher on top of it, and then also a way to lead the Rapbolts over and down into the tear opener. Maybe we should think this through. What if I set this up here? Then it is powered and it can shoot up. But as soon as I want to place another one, we're going to run into troubles unless I space them out a little bit. But then this is only going to result in 3 of them. So it might be easier to set them up like this and then have a Rapbolt reflector right there. So they're going to shoot right, but it's still just 3. How about we have 3 like so they can shoot up. The ones on the outside are going to shoot in a 45 degrees angle. This would allow me to place a reflector right there and lead it either to the left and down or up into the launcher platform. As a matter of fact, we could have a joint plate right there. No, wait, this doesn't work. I wanted to disable this guy so they can shoot up, but I totally forgot that they don't shoot up. So I would even have to build another one. Yeah, I don't think we get around this, but this way we could make a setup with 6 of these. The 2 outside collectors will have to be turned around the other way because of the cabling. So now I could add a reflector here, another one there, and then a third one could go right here. So they first shoot all into the reflectors on the outside, and then the reflectors on the outside can shoot back into this one, which then can shoot straight. And then finally we'll add another reflector that we are gonna shut off in case we don't want to feed the temporal tear opener, but we want to shoot straight through. This is then gonna go into this joint plate, and the rest we can fill up with insulated tiles or whatever actually. Yeah, sure. Let's use some of the sandstone, add a bunch of these tiles, and then here on top we can set up the interplanetary launcher. Easy as that. Yeah, I kind of like this idea. Let's wrap it up with a nice ladder and get this built. Looks like Ellie is first finishing up the pipework here. I'm glad about that. The more we have finished about this reactor, the better. And whoop, I almost closed this with the wrong material. Obviously, this should be a joint plate. So a heavy watt joint plate goes here, and it actually goes here as well. Now, do we have a vacuum here still? Good. So I'm not going to run the risk of destroying my vacuum on the inside. But yeah, someone was concerned about the heat transfer between the steam room and the steam turbine room, which is not going to be possible because the joint plate here is in a vacuum. And as long as it doesn't touch the coolant, I'm not going to run the risk of transferring the heat. We can now finish the pipework that goes into the reactor. Did I build this out? Oh, granite. I don't want this out of granite. This should be at least igneous rock. and another bridge right there. So now the water connection is done. I only have to produce another water connection for a backup and also to initially fill up the research reactor. Maybe let's go through my list. I did play a little bit in between the episodes and fixed some stuff. For instance, I fixed the oxalite refinery, so now we have 2 pipes coming in. As you can see, one pipe is the one that's coming from the top here that is filling up the base, and the other pipe here is filling up the suits. So I always take the extra oxygen and bring it down in order to produce the oxalite. Now, as soon as the oxalite drops, the auto sweeper here is going to pick it up and put it into the smart storage bin. And I put it on 2 airflow tiles because you understandably pointed out that here in the cellar we're going to have quite a few pockets of carbon dioxide, which would then result in the oxalite off-gassing, which is not something we want. So now it's being picked up and stored here in the smart storage bin, which should always be within oxygen and overpressured. Another something you pointed out is with this new rocket here, we cannot actually have the gas pump inside of the mess hall because that counts as an industrial machine, and also the manual generator is probably producing too much heat that we eventually cannot deal with. So probably the best course of action here is to deconstruct the generator. We don't necessarily need that. We're gonna take the power from the battery on the outside, and now that I have quite a few solar panels, it probably also doesn't matter. And then instead of having the gas pump here on the top, we're gonna lower it down to the bottom here, which is gonna result in some carbon dioxide being picked up. So we'll have to deal with that as well. Gonna set that up right here. We'll lead the gas pipes through there. Actually, I wanna go through here. That makes more sense to me. And then we can remove the other stuff from the pump. In order to avoid the carbon dioxide, we're gonna set up a gas pipe element sensor. Let's do that right here, together with a high gas pressure vent, also right there. And we can directly connect this with an automation wire. Now actually the only thing we're missing is a recreational item. I don't think I can place the food box. Yeah, it's too high. I'm thinking of a solution how to replace the oxalite so we have the space for a recreational item, or maybe we can replace this with a door and have the item on top of it. I mean, it doesn't even have to be activated, right? So I guess we could have our sensor here, and it moves together with the high gas pressure vent. We take a little detour before we make our way down. This would allow me to use the space at the bottom here for a door where we can set up a storage. So we'll have to remove all the ladders and everything. I don't want to place the door on the top here, otherwise the room is probably going to be too... Actually, is it too small for a mess hall? It doesn't matter. I need space for the telephone. So instead of having all this shebang, we're gonna add a door, and then on top of that, that's probably in furniture, right? We want, where is it? A party line phone that goes right there. This should then still keep this as one single room, therefore be a great hall, but we still have the possibility to actually move to the upstairs. And then I suppose we can even lock the door here. This never actually has to be opened. Yeah, it looks like the party line phone cannot stand on top of a pneumatic door. Maybe we'll just have to add a mechanized airlock. Of course, now I managed to trap Camille on the top floor. She is very happy though about it. It's her first break in like 2,500 cycles. Let's set up the pipe sensor. I want carbon dioxide, and as soon as we detect that, it's going to be expelled before it actually lands in the atmosuit docks, and there it has another chance to be deleted by the oxalite production. There it is, mechanized airlock and party line in place. We're gonna lock the door, and then let me actually see. Is this now what it is supposed to be? A great hall. So we have the maximum bonus here, except for the toilet, but this only gives +1 bonus anyway. So I'm rather having my pump here, which still is a risk factor of actually heating everything up, but much less so than the generator. We even have a little bit of extra space, but I think at this point I just want to get that rocket flying, and we're gonna collect some oil for our finished petroleum boiler here on Vivani. In the meantime, here on Glowani, I wanted to make sure that the bees can get busy again by exposing all of the uranium. So now this beta hive here can move on, but we still have 7.7 tons in there. And we're basically gonna keep going, just building a whole bunch of ladders and removing everything around the precious uranium that we don't want. Here we go. Ellie actually started to build the research reactor. She has 108 rats, that is barely anything. She's used to up to 300 of those. And you can see we also finished building the rat bolt generators. I did have them turned on for a brief second, which was a mistake because of course we're not producing the power just yet. But now it's time to move them on. So this guy here should be pointing down. This one here as well. This is going to be the center one that is pointing up. That's good. And now we just have to make sure we either hit this guy or this guy. And since this is a shorter route and we want to lose as few rat bolts as possible, we should adjust the angles accordingly. I'm gonna need to ladder over here in order to build this, and we also need a way to actually shut it off. So we'll add a... let me see. Do I want more of them? I guess we're just gonna have that one here and then connect it up like so. And that is gonna allow me to shut off the rat bolt generator that is gonna face this way, and then we're gonna be shooting down into the temporal tear opener. And then when we turn this off, we're gonna shoot into the interplanetary launcher. Now, I did not think this through. I probably should put it a little bit to the side. Oh man, I have to say, I just really like the symmetry of it. What if we shoot over to the right with this guy? Then we would be landing somewhere here. Yeah, I think I might even be happier with that solution. So now instead of shooting straight up, that means we can also deconstruct the joint plate there. We can then go ahead, use another rat bolt reflector here, and finally one there. Is that right? Yeah, it has to be. Also, we might want to think about setting up glass tiles instead of insulated tiles, so we even profit more from the slight hazard radiation on this planetoid. Now at this point, I think we're ready here. Let me just make a quick check. Yeah, everything is in place. At least we are gonna survive one journey. Maybe we'll realize what else is wrong, but let's set up the liquid already. We're going for crude oil, so that's what we want to collect here. Now, instead of Gossman, I actually want to send Turner over. I think that is going to be better, and I'm going to send him over to crude oil, of course. Is there anything else we need to check? I don't think so. Begin that launch sequence. This is going to be our first petroleum rocket launch. Very nice, very nice. There he is, my hero, and he's going for it, isn't he? Yeah, check this out. A lot of temperatures. The tiles actually didn't even heat up much over 100 degrees, and now the temperature should be shifting over to our steam room. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with what I can see here. This is also cooling down again. The carbon dioxide does transfer a little more heat to the metal tiles, but it's not quite perfect in that regard. Also, I just noticed now that the first rocket is gone, we cannot hop over or down anymore. That is going to be an issue. Yeah, I think we might just have to open this up here. I'm gonna close it on the top. No, we still need to go through here in order to access the ladder. But if we remove these two tiles, I can hop down to this platform. There are my two rat bolt reflectors. One is shooting up, that's fine, but the other one needs to shoot right. And so we can fuel the launcher. So technically the only thing we're now missing is another reflector, for instance, pointing this way, and that's going to be the one that we enable or disable. So switch and some automation wire. That means if we have this activated, the rat bolts are going to shoot to the left and then down wherever we need them. And now we're exchanging this with window tiles, which should definitely help. Actually, maybe not. That's 120 rats and that's 110, so it doesn't even help a lot. For now, I'm gonna turn off the switch, just in case I forget. There's another printable, just in the nick of time. What? I don't even want that. Turner is gonna take another 1.7 cycles to land. Are we even ready on crude oil for that? Let me see. This should all be good. Yeah, I don't think this is in the way, though this block might be in the way. Yeah, let's remove that just to be sure. We don't want him to be able to exit, so that is all good here. And then we also have the crude oil ready to be shipped. Nice. There, the reflector is in place. Now we only need one more reflector that I'm already gonna eyeball where it needs to go. So all the way on top of here. And so we also know what to actually remove. Now I don't even know. Can I have the reflector here? Right in the line of sight of the tear opener? I don't actually think it's a good idea. So instead what I'm gonna do is aim down here to the side, so we can have another reflector right there and then one on the top. That would be right here. Okay, let's get that installed as well. Actually, I'm gonna wait a cycle or two for Ellie to recover from her radiation. She's still busy with a couple of pipes that need to be built here. Also, I totally forgot. I need aluminium. Do I have aluminium? A little bit. Yeah, we need to finish the cabling here. Oh, looks like a lot of the ice already melted here. I think I'm gonna take that as an opportunity to set up one more temp shift plate in order to add that missing water we had. Also, before I forget, we should think about filling up the loop now. Let's probably raise this a little bit so I have access to the bottom tile here. There we go, that's looking much better. Now I can actually use a pump. Let me see, a mini liquid pump that we're gonna set up here. We're gonna use some pipes in order to get to the cooling loop. All we need to do is set up a bridge and we should be able to fill that cooling loop completely. Now the loop isn't actually completed unless we also cool down everything else. That means at the very end here, instead of going down, I would like to go up. We do not quite have enough igneous rock to accomplish that, but I think I can do a little something by doing that. Now we can cut this apart. It will be going first up, then we would be cooling things down, let's say with a bunch of iron pipes, and we can then go back down, use a liquid bridge to finish everything off like so. Of course, we also want to see some supercoolant here, so let's get one bottle with 200 kilograms in there. Yeah, I think that was 200 kilograms. Perfect. I think that's already enough. Now I need to send over a little bit more igneous rock. Do we have that in here? No, that's aluminium. This would be igneous rock. Reset that amount a couple of times so we can finish building the pipes. Turner has finally landed. I once again forgot to unground the rocket, but now he can eat. Everything is fine, and we should also be loading up the crude oil. Now this is gonna take quite a while, I presume. But it is definitely going to be worth it to run our petroleum boiler on Vivani for quite a bit. Now, another rocket I would like to send is the drill cone here. Is this actually filled up with diamonds? Yes, indeed. Also, if we have a look at the interior, we have everything set up, including, well, actually, we need to hook that guy up there. But we still have this powered with the oxygen diffuser, which is quite fine. We have the berry sludge here, and what is this? Plastic? Well, technically we don't need that anymore. But yeah, this rocket will have to be redesigned. For now, I would like to get some more fullerene. Anyways, looking at the star map, I would like to get this regenerated asteroid field in order to get the fullerene and maybe some refined carbon. Also, we don't have a lot of regolith, not that we necessarily need it, but it's a good replacement for sand. So without any further ado, let's see, is Gossman the crew? Yes, indeed. We want to change the target to over here. And with that out of the way, we can begin the launch sequence. We are gonna be drilling some more. Heck yes. There we go. This is not the first time we're doing this. If you remember, we've already done it once, and the resulting supercoolant was quite overwhelming, I have to say, from just one trip. I have to revert back to the manual generator. It is just getting a little bit insane here. I do not have any power whatsoever. Of course, the solar panels are not helping at all on this planetoid, so Ellie will have to show some spirit and take one for the team. Of course, this will change immediately as soon as we have this activated, but we'll need some initial power to be able to run the, let's see, the pump at least. No, wait, we don't need to run anything until we get the power from the steam turbines, and then at least the aqua tuner should run. But for now, I'm gonna set up a impossible setting in the aqua tuner so it doesn't get turned on. Okay, I finished some stuff, then I took a long break, and now I'm not sure what I all did, but I added a cooling loop here, or maybe rather a heating loop. So instead of pumping the nuclear waste directly up into space, I decided to actually go ahead and use the heat, maybe distribute it a little bit better amongst the entirety of the steam room before we release it. And it looks like I managed to pump out a little bit of liquid, so I ended up with not having enough. Also, I did have a little bit of spoilage here, but I ended up melting it all. So now all I have to do is set up an impossible setting here as well. 2000 kilograms. If it is above, then I want to activate the pump. And now maybe if I replace one of these wallpapers again with a temp shift plate, we'll have enough in there. In the meantime, we're still pumping in crude oil on crude, but we're actually almost done. Wow, I did not notice we were this far into filling this up actually. So it's just 600 kilograms of crude oil to go, and then we can fly this thing back to Vivani in order to unload. And it's gonna be a glorious moment. And there it is, all full. Let's change the target again, back home. Acknowledge warnings and begin the launch sequence. We only want to make it back home and then refuel the rocket. We're not going to be needing it for quite a while because we just took home 2 times 27 tons. Holy cow. And we just melted another port loader. I really think we need another heatsink here. I mean, how else would you do it? Before I forget, another change I ended up doing is actually hooking everything up to the heavy watt wire instead of having a transformer. Also, I noticed I did not have enough steel to actually build the auto sweeper. We'll have to send over a tiny amount of steel. Let's maybe do that. I sent over enough igneous rock. Now we need to switch over to steel, reset that amount. That will already be enough then. Also, I'm gonna reset the amount of supercoolant here and we can now actually start to load that up. I got that ready by now. All we need to do is hook this up. Let me see. Yeah, now the pump is pumping and this should be going into the loop, down into the aqua tuner and then through the steam turbines. For now, we're not going to run the aqua tuner as we're not having enough power, but it will be good to already have prepared the loop. Now, actually, one thing that comes to mind is the contraption I'm starting to build here. This is basically going to be my automated payload opener. So let's get one of those openers in the joint right there. We'll also have to power that one up. We're gonna have our beacon right here, so we can reach either of these 3 tiles or these 3 tiles, and the auto sweeper that we place here will be able to pick it up. So that's gonna go right here. We can reach everything, including the payload opener, and since we have a bunch of drywall behind this, we should be able to set up some liquid in order to cool this down, but we'll have to integrate it in the cooling loop. So I guess what we should do is really go into this direction. Let me actually see. We continue with insulated piping and then some radiant pipes to cool the payload opener. And finally, we'll need radiant pipes right here. Or inside the tile would be good as well, I guess. I just don't like the routing of these pipes. If we come up here, then maybe we should deconstruct this and then lead it over to the right. So it would be going over. These can be connected. And now this kind of makes more sense to me. We can then go back here and move over with the bridge this way. Now that the rocket is in flight and going back home, I should set this to grounded, which means as soon as it lands, it will be grounded and Turner will switch to the bed in his home, hopefully. But yeah, I kind of wish I could automate this depending on which planetoid I'm on. Now, let me get a bottle emptier installed here. I'm gonna need some liquid on this spot and the tiles at the bottom. Is my drilling rocket already drilling? Let me have a look at that. No. Oh no, wait, did I forget the cargo thingy-mabob? Yeah, can we just forget that that happened and just move on with our lives, okay? I wanna rename this rocket platform. This is gonna be Petroleum 1, Petroleum 2, and now the one that is coming in, I wanna make sure this is landing on the right spot. Not any rocket platform, but Petroleum 1. My steel should have arrived by now. There we go. That means set up that auto sweeper as well. Okay, now the question is, what are we gonna take as a coolant? Supercoolant would be a little bit of a waste because some of it is just gonna be wasted. On the other side, we could prevent it from getting wasted by just preparing it a little bit, and then we have supercoolant in the joint. I mean, it would be nice. So let me just build a little something here, and then if we drop this, it shouldn't matter that much, at least if we have drywall here as well. Then it's just gonna spill over and then spill down back into the pool. I guess though we first want to close it off. Also, I was wondering with the power, I should probably go straight down. Yeah, in the end I want to go straight down at this point and then continue the line here. Okay, nice. We almost have a completed cooling loop. We do not need to cool down the launcher, but everything else is going to be quite necessary. I'm also going to lower the priority of this payload opener, so we only add it to the one at the bottom here. There is my last temp shift plate made out of ice. It should be melting momentarily. I don't think I'm ever gonna be able to finish that. Let me just make my way back with my rocket. So as soon as my drilling rocket is back and I'm ready to launch that nuclear reactor, we're gonna be back. In the meantime, my rocket has been refueled. All we have to do is get that oil out of there. So why isn't it getting unloaded? I guess because it's this one here. Yeah, come on. I want my crude oil here, please. Finally, and that can now go back into the petroleum boiler. Let's make sure the petroleum boiler is still ready and functional. Yeah, we have our tile in there, and all we're waiting for is the oil. The oil is gonna go straight through the reservoirs into the contraption, and then afterwards it's gonna be filling it up. Finally, fresh oil. That took quite a few cycles, but it's gonna be useful. My petroleum generators were already kicking on for a couple of times, so they don't seem to be for nothing, especially now that my geothermal plant slowly starts to diminish. Alrighty, we are back, and it is now substantially later in-game as well as real life. It is the next day of recording, and let me bring you up to speed to what happened. Basically, I went on another drilling mission. This time around, I did not forget about the cargo bay, and we also managed to get a whole bunch of materials in the joint. They are all here, including 2,000 kilograms of fullerene again. So I'm gonna be relocating that back to my storage. Something else that I did, maybe that doesn't even interest you, but I added a little radiant pipe right here in order to accommodate for too low temperatures caused by the wheeze wards. At minus 60 degrees they stop working. I also sent my liquid cargo rocket once again over to crude because we processed the entirety of the oil. So both tanks we actually processed. Now we are about to fill this one up as well, just a couple of tons to go. But when I actually delivered this back home, we went through it like in one go. So it started to fill up all of these petroleum boilers, and then it's gonna fill up this room here before it even starts to accumulate the oil. So I have to say, I'm pretty happy with the petroleum boiler apart from this single pipe that for some reason I missed. I'm thinking about it, maybe we could do something more useful with the carbon dioxide. When am I pumping this even out? At 5 kilograms. Yeah, this is probably good. I'm not sure. Do we even have some other gases in here? A little bit of polluted oxygen, but it's not that much. Just covering a single tile. Also, I'm not sure if I've already shown this, but I took a little detour here with my supercoolant for the main base, because the oxalide factories here were getting a little hot, but this way we can manage it easily. Oh yes, I almost forgot. I actually had to come back with Ellie in order to refuel the rocket with oxygen. And now I'm making my way back to Coldito. We almost finished the project. I even closed off the room. I believe we have built everything. Except I just noticed this little piece of iron and that there is no plate here. That is a little shame, but I wanted to make my way down. Maybe we can gain access from a different location. Say if we mop this up quickly, we can open these two blocks. I don't even think that's gonna be an issue. We can just open these up. We don't even have to mop this up. This is water, right? So we can just open up the building here. And since this is a vacuum and we have nothing that off-gases, I believe we don't even need a liquid lock. But yeah, we definitely need to make our way back here with Ellie, and it's gonna be the last time we do that. I prepared everything so that we should have a working system. The cooling loop is also completely filled up and it is covering everything that is necessary. I also have the outgoing cable here from the timer sensor in case we want to regulate the amount of enriched uranium, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm probably just gonna leave this reactor running for all eternity like we do on Glowani. I don't see a reason to actually regulate the enriched uranium anymore because, well, it's proven to be at least functional enough so nothing can go wrong. And if we want to shut it down, like 18 cycles is nothing in the big picture of this playthrough. Oh no, I just see something else. I added a temp shift plate here out of diamond. Maybe I want to add that too. Like right here, I set up a temp shift plate. So we're gonna fix these mistakes and afterwards we can enable it. And just like clockwork, all the oil wells are going for it again, reproducing the oil we just used up. I think something I haven't shown you yet is the railing. Basically, I'm bringing it out of the payload opener and then I'm checking for enriched uranium. If we don't have enriched uranium, I'm dropping it right here. Otherwise, it's gonna send a red signal with this NOT gate and it's then gonna continue down into the reactor room where the auto sweeper can fill up the reactor. Something else we need to consider is how the heck are we going to get the initial water? Well, it's a good thing we make our way back in there. I just need another good entry in order to supply it with the water. And then we need to produce some water. Looks like the iron volcano here is active again. And if we check the temperatures right here, this should be easy to convert some of this into water. We just have to drop ice on it. So we can potentially make a collection area here at the bottom. Unfortunately, I already used the volcano that is closest to the contraption, but I guess it's gonna be fine. Just a couple of pipes. And it's like a really important step. Yeah, let me go ahead and prepare all of this, because in today's episode, the 100th, I definitely want to get this thing ready and launched. Okay, I may have made a little oopsie and ended up with my supercoolant dumped down into this room. I already have a plan how to pump it up again. I installed our specific liquid dumping center mechanism here. This is only gonna serve its purpose in the beginning, but basically if we start to pump up water with this pump, we want to drop it immediately again, and then the supercoolant can continue. Maybe at this point I'm gonna reroute the piping so we can pick it all up. But yeah, I think at this point it will be time to close off the room and then finally get it prepared. I already have my room here at the bottom as announced, and all I ever did was set up a whole bunch of temp shift plates here, and whenever the volcano erupted, it got converted to water pretty much immediately. I'm then dumping the water more or less outside of the room. I still want to set up a tile here, so... Oh, actually this is still not gonna prevent it from entering the room. So maybe never mind. Let me just go ahead, reconnect this. The problem is I cheaped out with the piping, and now of course we're leading this through very harsh environment which might freeze the water, but as long as it is in motion it shouldn't dramatically matter. Well, so I think without any further ado, we're gonna close this off and then get it started. Let's just wait for Ellie to come back from her beauty sleep. I wanna send her over here manually, so she's also using the materials already on the floor. Now actually another oopsie happened, I totally forgot about this, but my dupe had already some enriched uranium delivered. That is kind of interesting. You warned me about it actually going into nuclear meltdown right away if that happens, but I'm presuming you first need some initial water to get it going, and then when you run out of water it's gonna go into meltdown, but it doesn't actually start without it. You know what, let's not be lazy and set up one more thing. I want a button right there. We are gonna connect this directly to the automation slot of the research chamber. There it is, all closed off again. Let's go ahead, connect the pipe, and that should be everything we have to do. Water is now trickling along. Did I not? Yeah, I did not complete the cabling here, so that needs to happen like extremely quickly. Actually, as a matter of fact, I want this to happen right now before I dump any water into the research chamber. Good, now we get a steady stream of water, and since this volcano is going to be active for a while and we keep on setting up the temp shift plates, we should be alright in terms of having enough water as a backup. And there it is, the moment of truth. Nothing happens. No, it happens. Okay, it's starting to heat up. Nice. Let's have a quick look inside. Water is at 2 degrees. What is happening? Yes, it is dropping. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be an absolutely horrible start. Okay, we have some steam production. That is good. Exactly what we need, and we can actually keep this up until the steam turbines start to overheat. Now, we might run into problems when it comes to actually pumping out... Where's the supercoolant? We have it in these 2 tiles. Fortunately enough, it seems to be denser than the nuclear waste, so it's probably not gonna spill over, but it's still not a good feeling I have about this. So at this point I just want to make sure the liquid pump gets activated, and let's see what we pick up. Some supercoolant, some nuclear waste probably already, but it would be really nice if we manage to pick up all the supercoolant before anything spills over here. I don't want it there. Now the water is gonna be dropped back down and only supercoolant is gonna be left in these pipes. Okay, and that means at this point here we want to reconnect or connect these 2 pipes and then make sure it doesn't go outside. We want it back in the cooling loop, and all that just because I didn't pay attention. Oh no 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 no! I guess it was probably bound to happen. I'm not sure. I might be able to correct that because I can reach this tile from the side. This is not looking good. I'm just hoping that eventually the nuclear waste can be pushed back by the water we still have around here. But now I'm completely dependent on the steam turbines actually doing something. Do we get enough water? Yes, that's still looking good. How cold is it? Okay, it will actually freeze over. That means I'm gonna send Ellie to replace some of these pipes. No. Now we have a really big problem, right? No, I can still use these turbines. I just noticed I should disconnect the rappel generators. They might have influenced this in a bad way. Oh no, I made a mistake again. I have nuclear waste in here. Jeez. This actually turned out much worse than I anticipated, so I'm gonna reload that save game just before we started that, and I want to make sure that we maybe first pump out the supercoolant in some way or the other, even if it is with just one manual generator. But I'm gonna be back at the point where we launch the nuclear reactor, and hopefully then everything is gonna be peachy and fine. Said and done, I fixed it and more. Jeez, every time I start recording I see another mistake that I want to fix, but now that I took myself so much time to actually do this, we're gonna get back in there again and break this ladder. But we got all of the pipes, or at least most of them, replaced with insulated pipes, and I got my supercoolant back in the cooling loop normally, so we only have water here at the bottom. I just placed a little manual generator there and had Ellie pump the supercoolant for 2 cycles or so. Now let's make sure we actually pick that up. Ellie, you wanna go down, do this immediately. That would be great. Yes, that's picked up. So now we can close this off, and I want you to do that immediately as well. I also had Ellie build a little lead shield here, so we can at least work around these areas. And now I think it's time to connect the pipe and get it started. So the water should be coming up immediately, looking good. Let's keep on replacing these plates here. And if everything goes right, Ellie is gonna build those tiles just before the water is incoming. Wow, that was actually really good, I have to say. Research reactor is filling up with water, and it is starting to drop. Absolutely wonderful. Now we should have a clean steam production, and therefore also our steam turbines can do much better. There it is, nuclear waste incoming. That is gonna heat things up dramatically. And we get our first steam already. Very nice. I need to be a little bit careful here with the liquid pump. At the moment we have it above 2000. Yeah, that is the impossible setting. So it's not gonna accidentally pick up the water now. And then as soon as the steam turbines start working, I should be able to essentially cut this off. I might keep it in place just to be on the safe side. Oh, that was a good one. Perfect nuclear waste droppage. Okay, nice. This is actually looking pretty good. All the water has already been converted, and now the nuclear waste can distribute a little bit better. And there are the first steam turbines now activating. This is good, so we'll have some power on these things. Nice. The second row of steam turbines is activating, which means we're not going to be needing that much more water. As a matter of fact, could we already do without? I wonder if we move everything we have over. Yeah, it looks like... No. It doesn't look like we can keep up. Let's just reconnect this again. I need a second or third turbine activated at least. Okay, nice. Looks like we have reached the point where we're only feeding this with the steam turbines. I'm now gonna let it run, and just to be on the safe side, we're also gonna send over some more materials. And all we have to do for that is reset the amount here once. And actually I might reset it a couple of times, to be quite frank with you. And then we can basically send this over. I'm just using the rat bolt generators here. How much is this costing? 67 to launch it, or 70 rat bolts rather. So maybe we should also set this here with the rat bolt collectors. We want to shoot 70 rat bolts at a time. Or actually maybe 75 would make more sense because of the losses. The lower turbines are now almost completely producing. This is good. I feel like, yeah, it's 47 kilograms of steam in there. It's about the same that I have on Glowani here, but for some reason this now stopped working as efficiently as before. It's awaiting delivery. I remember I did play around with the settings here a little bit in order to send 5 units instead of 10 units, but that might have been a little mistake. Okay, nice. We are now producing plenty of power. Let's see if it is already enough. We can start by hooking this up, activating all of the rat bolt generators. And oh my gosh, I forgot something. What if I want to just disable them? Do I even want to disable them? I don't know. I guess what I want is to disable the payload opener, and I want to move my beacon to over there. So that is something I might have forgotten. And we're also going to open up this tile and this tile in order to start charging the temporal tear opener. But yeah, I guess generally we'll have to be a little bit careful here with Ellie. Good, Ellie is now building the beacon. Go away. Yeah, she can now keep on building the pipes here. And in the meantime, we are producing a whole bunch of rat bolts. Let's set these all to 100 rat bolts before shooting. And oh my gosh, that turned all the directions as well. How inconvenient. Okay, these are still pointing the right way. I want to enable this guy so it first shoots over and then down. We'll have to go through a tiny amount of supercoolant here, but I don't think it's going to be that dramatic of a loss because it's just a couple of grams. We have some enriched uranium that just arrived, so it goes through the filter and gets dumped right into the room. This is very nice, and with each delivery we can last actually 20 days. Additionally, I also have added this rail that I'm eventually going to use to bring all the materials, all the wolframite, all the iron up to the interplanetary launcher. Now let's see that happen. Oh yes, yes, yes. It goes down. And oh my gosh, are you kidding? Too few printing pods. I did not even read that tooltip. That means we need 5 printing pods. We need to build another one on crude, one on Glowani, one on Coldito, and then one on a different planetoid. Okay, we cannot even do that. Let me go ahead, connect everything together. So now the overload? What are you talking about? This is ridiculous. This is not overloading. Ah, the circuit overload now happens inside of the rocket. This is so hilarious. So that means before we want to enable this, we first need to have a look inside the rocket and replace the cabling there. And there's already another rat bolt. Yeah, so to be honest, I might just go ahead and also add some automation for these guys. Otherwise that might not make too much sense. And then I'm gonna replace the cabling inside of the rocket also. Though, this really sucks. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna add a power converter on the other side. So somewhere here a power transformer, and we're gonna replace those cables instead. But I think with that out of the way, this episode is already long enough. I just wanted to make sure that this finally gets done at episode 100, because this is another milestone. We can now disassemble the entire planetoid. All we have to add is another cooling chamber for the final cooling stage of the iron, and then we can bring that back home and we should have unlimited power here for as long as we want. But with that out of the way, thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Have a great time and see you in the next one. Bye bye.